guys, what's up? My name is Rachel and welcome back to my channel, The Reading Otter 7. So today I'm going to be bringing you a spoiler review of My Lady Jane by Cynthia Han, Brody Ashton, and Jody Meadows, this beautiful book right here. So I read this for the reading quest. I actually finished it yesterday and I was like, I have to do a review soon, so all of my wonderful thoughts are fresh on my brain. I don't have any notes for this, so let's just see where this goes. So this is a spoiler review, so I'm assuming most of you have read this. Hopefully, that's why it's a spoiler review. If you haven't read this, you should probably not be watching this video. Yeah. This book, I started out doing the audiobook of this book because my sister had it, and we were going to our parents', which is like an hour and a half away, and she was like, hey, let's like listen to the audiobook since you're gonna read it. And I was like, sure, why not? So we started out, and I think that's kind of what helped me get into it, but once we got to Mom and Dad's, I was like hooked. So that in itself is challenging because it takes forever for me to get into a book. But I think what made it so easy to get into this book was that even though sometimes different points of view can be very distracting, I think that the use of different points of view in this story specifically made it very easy to get into. And I think that's because they were all in different places to begin with, but they still did it in the type of way that like it was an order of events. And what bothers me when you do multiple points of view is when you don't do it in chronological order and you just kind of like skip around between points of view. That's what confuses me. So I think it actually helped the story to kind of do it that way, and then we could see the perspective of the way that this was impacting 3 different people. He got me into it like a couple chapters in is the romance between Jane and Gifford. And I think it's because, I'm sorry, call him G. And I think that's because it was so real, because it started out where they hated each other, which I feel like would be how it is, because it's an arranged marriage, and they were just like thrown into it, okay, and neither of them want to give up their freedom. So, of course they're gonna hate each other to begin with, but then like, subtly, in like subtle ways, they started to realize that they loved each other. And I think that's kind of like what kept me going, is because their romance was so cute. And like, yes, the magic system is really cool, and I love that there's Effieans and Verities and all that stuff, and that was really fun. But I think the coolest thing was their romance, and I'm not like a romance person, like in real life. I find it corny, but it was just so well written and beautiful, and I feel like this whole review is going to be about G and Jane, but sorry, that's just what got me. And I know I'm skipping way ahead here, but when Jane is like, I desperately want to be a human so I can be with you, and then she was, because her heart's desire was to be with G, I was just like, oh my god, be still my soul, because that was like beautiful. And she was just so heartbroken when G couldn't do it back, and he just like turned into a horse, and she was like, why am I not his heart's desire? And I was like, I just felt that, you know? Do you know what I'm saying? The whole thing with Edward and like being a kestrel, am I saying that right? And being a kestrel, and he was like, I just like get caught up in like the bird joy, and it's just like, I feel like how can you not get caught up in the bird joy? Like if I was a kestrel, I'd be like, I just want to fly wherever, like duty, responsibility, what? I'm just gonna like ride this air current, you know? Like I like totally sympathized with Edward and his bird joy. And then I love all of like the references. Okay, the best part of this book, I take it back, not G and Jane, although that was pretty great, was the narrators, okay? Every time they would like pipe in and be like, yeah, we know how great it is that Gracie's a fox, even though the term being called a fox wasn't around at this time. We know. I'm just like, yes. And I love that like his grandmother was a skunk. That's great. I just like, there are all these like subtle like humor that you just throw in, and like, okay, I talked about this in my reading quest video, and so I'm just gonna like read it. Page 470 was killing me, alright? And it's a perfect explanation of like the animal magic coming in and the narrators, and it's just like sums up everything I feel about this book, okay? The game is up, Mary, Bess continued smoothly. You've lost. No! The word echoed in the room. Then Mary let out a bellow of rage and barreled toward Bess with outstretched hands, as if she would choke the life from her sister. But before she could reach Bess, a light flashed. The onlookers gave a collective gasp. Where Mary had been standing, there was now a chubby gray mule. The first person to laugh was an elderly woman near the front of the room. A stranger to court, people would later remark, but a distinctive figure who gave everyone who played at card games a peculiar sense of déjà vu. "Oh dear, what an ass," the old lady cackled. And then everybody began to giggle while the old mule brayed and stood there looking generally miserable at the turn of events that had befallen her. As narrators, we'd like to inform you now that Mary was never seen as a human again. She remained an ass all the rest of her days, as asses typically do. I'm sorry, but if you don't, like, hear that page and you don't find this book hysterical, I don't know who you are. Like, yeah. I was reading that part at work and I just, like, kept laughing, like, out loud, and I couldn't help it. And one of the girls I work with was like, "You're adorable when you read books." And I was like, you would laugh if you read this book too. That's all I'm saying. But honestly though, the writing was just absolutely astounding. The storyline was great. I loved just how they took history and they followed it for a while, and then once Jane kind of got the crown, it just, like, all went to heck. But I love what they did with it, and I think that it was just such a it was just pure fun, and I love the imagination that it took, first off, for them to come up with the whole Verities and Effie's thing, and, like, tie that into Bloody Mary and why she was so awful. And even though they didn't, like, let her reign very long so that you didn't have to experience all that, they still, like, showed you, like, kind of, like, the persecution that they might have experienced, that they did experience in Tudor England. And it just was, like, really cool to kind of, like, see, like, God, I don't want to say, like, a lighter look at that, because that's, like, people died, like, there's no way to look at it lightly. But I just thought it was really fun, and it made it very interesting, and, you know, made me want to know more about Tudor England, and that's a big accomplishment, because I generally find that era very lame. But yeah, so I just really love this book, and I can't wait for the second one whenever it comes out to come out. I don't even know who it's about. I know it's not about Lady Jane Grey, but I don't even care. Like, I want more. I want them to do collaborations all the time and, like, touch, like, every time period in history and just add all of their quirky narrating and magic system and just, like, write it all. Like, they need to write everything. I just loved it. I don't really know how much I can say about it. Like, I just loved it. And it was a lot of fun. And my sister's grinning over there like a madman because she told me to read it forever and I told her no. And now I've read it and I can't stop talking about it. And this is the second book that I did for the reading quest alone that she's done that to me with, so. I gotta stop liking books she makes me read because she's getting smug. But anyway, I really enjoyed this. 5 out of 5 stars. I would give it 10 out of 10 stars if Goodreads had that rating system. That's how good it was. So, yeah. Those are my thoughts on My Lady Jane Grey. Not My Lady Jane Grey. Oh my gosh. My Lady Jane. It was so cute. And I'm assuming you've read it since you watched this video, but if you did not, and you're just one of those people who likes to spoil books for yourself, even though I put a spoiler warning in the title, you need to actually read it, so. Or read it again, because I'm sure you'll enjoy it again. So that's it for this video. I will see you guys next time.